Hey, what's up, folks? Hey, first off, just want to say thanks for the likes on the last video. I really appreciate that. And if you haven't seen my response to Dave Landau's complaining, just I'll put just in that interview response down in the description below. I want to come and talk to you today about Candace Owens and her response to Steven Crowder. So, just go ahead and watch this. This is from Steven Crowder, and then we'll get into the response that Candace Owens gave, and then we're going to discuss that.
Hey, we'll be on with your regular programming and Nick DiPaolo in third chair in a little bit, but needed to take a moment here to address some issues out there that are circulating. It's never fun, but, well, I guess let me be clear here. I have been living with a proverbial boot on my neck for going on years now. Since 2021, I've been living through what has increasingly been a horrendous divorce. Now, let me say on the outset, to be clear, there is no infidelity, any kind of physical abuse at all on either side. And no, this was not my choice. My then wife decided that she didn't want to be married anymore. And in the state of Texas, that is completely permitted. It's been the most heartbreaking experience of my life, what I consider to be my deepest personal failure. And just so you know, my opinions on parenting and families have not changed. I've always believed that children need a mom and a dad, that divorce is horrible. And I still believe that children need a mom and a dad and that divorce is horrible. But in today's legal system, my beliefs don't matter. In Texas, divorce is permitted when one party wants it, period. So for well over a year, in the best interest as well as physical safety of my children, we've decided to keep this issue private and to resolve it privately with the appropriate attorneys, what have you, legal jargon. And all this, one thing I want to be really clear about is certain. True north here is that my children are blameless, completely without fault, and so we decided to resolve these issues privately, as it's in their best interests, both emotionally and physically, to do so. Now, the other issue is, and this is something that I've kept private for likely far too long, many other people knew about this behind the scenes. Some, not all, but some of them in positions of power, influence, leverage, knew of this. They also knew that the safety of my children included keeping it private. So if you're familiar with the idea of extortion, then you know the feeling well. Now, some of these threats were so thinly veiled that I'm frankly surprised you didn't all guess immediately.
Steven has a lot going on, I guess is the best way to say it. He has a lot going on, and that should be clear because people don't do stuff like this if there's not a lot going on in their lives. I would like to implore my audience and everybody that isn't paying attention to this situation not to condemn him, but to pray for him. Sometimes people need a prayer. Sometimes people need a scripture. You know, Steven purports to be a Christian. I am unsure at this moment if it is my place to say more than that. You know, maybe if I feel in further defense, some things should be said, or maybe if I feel that the public has a right to understand certain circumstances.
Well, my children have a right to privacy. Now, some other issues have been, or I should say, inferences have been more pernicious behind the scenes with demands and threats to use this information that they believe would be so publicly embarrassing to me and my wife at a difficult time that it could be used, knowingly putting my children in harm's way. So to those self-styled Christians, conservatives, and allies, well, not in my book. Now, if you find yourself, I don't want to get into details, so this is going to likely be the only time I have to address this or want to address this. If you're asking yourself, hey, did X person or did Y person know? The answer is likely yes, which will be made alarmingly clear as this process of discovery continues. And it also, by the way, makes me that much more appreciative of those who did know about this and, in understanding the best interests of my family, my children, kept their word and used discretion. I can't thank you enough. Sincerely, I appreciate it. Won't forget it. It's pretty simple. I loved a woman so much that I married her. A woman who, despite all of this, I still love as the mother of my children. And she wanted something else for her life. That's not my choice. She simply wanted out, and the law says that that's how it works. Now, of course, look, I get it. There are multiple sides to every story, but one thing that is undeniable in this case is that it's no one's fault but my own in that I picked wrong, and that's certainly not the fault of my children. And I will say that what's in the best interest of my children is not internet drama, speculation, certainly not blatant or veiled shakedowns or dragging their father or mother, and I can't be clear on that enough, or their mother through the mud. And to anyone who tries it, I'm no longer going to pacify, capitulate, or sidestep because I love them a whole lot more than I love you. And I will continue to do whatever is necessary to protect my children. Discussing the divorce any further on social media or on this show or in any public space is not what's best for them. I'll be handling this through the proper legal avenues and channels available as a matter of record in which I have more than full confidence. So I'd ask that you understand the need for and respect our privacy in what is obviously a pretty tough time. And I hope that none of this has to go any further than that. Now, on with the reason you're all actually here.
Now, let's see what Candace Owens has to say. Now, here's the thing about this. I'm going to edit out the parts that Steven said in her video, and I'm just going to leave her responses in that because you already saw what he said. And a lot of these accusations she's making are absolutely ludicrous. Go ahead and watch this.
So first up, let's talk about Steven Crowder. A lot of you guys have probably seen his live stream this morning where he brings me up. So we're going to have to respond to that, obviously, because he makes some pretty heavy implications and insinuations in his video that are so patently false that it's shocking to me that a man with his following would be stupid enough to put this onto a platform. So let's first back this up in case you don't know who Steven Crowder is. It's totally plausible. He sort of lives on the internet. Steven Crowder is somebody who has a show called Louder with Crowder, who had something very terrible happen to him at the end of last year. The Daily Wire came to him with a $50 million term sheet. He was offered $50 million. I know, horrible, terrible. He was so upset by this that he then decided to do a video in which he calls out essentially all of the Daily Wire hosts, myself included, for accepting slave-like contracts. These were the very heavy implications of that video, that his followers needed to stop Big Con, talking about how we are all existing and we're kowtowing. And of course, we responded forcefully to this because it's simply not true. The idea that I'm somehow in bed with big tech or that I'm dishonest in what I do simply because we didn't accept, I guess, his counter offer to the $50 million contract is pointedly ridiculous. Now, why are we talking about him again? Well, in closing back in January, I essentially said that we were no longer going to talk about Steven Crowder, and I instead offered that people should pray for him because obviously when a man does something like that, he is broken. You don't do something like that to your friends unless there is something going on in your personal life. Well, Steven Crowder announced this morning that he is going through a divorce, and I want to show you bits of that video. So much that I want to say here. First and foremost, if you're a person that watches his show, how do you not see that he is so obviously acting and that he is a very bad actor? Do you feel bad for him when he says that? When he says, if you're familiar with the idea of extortion, well, if you are familiar with the idea of extortion, you should realize that that video that he just showed of me wasn't that. Nobody threatened him. Nobody made demands behind closed doors. His insinuation that I knew about his divorce before he decided to attack the Daily Wire is a pointed lie. Let me tell you what actually went on behind the scenes. Steven Crowder on election night was our friend. He was on the backstage with all of us, laughing, having a great time. He even sent me a retrospectively very flirty message thereafter on Instagram about how nice I looked on election night, even though I didn't respond to it. Thereafter, obviously, he attacked the Daily Wire. He decided to record his friend, Jeremy Boring, and to release the recording out of context to make it seem like Jeremy Boring knows that he's employing all of us like we're slaves, right? This is what Steven Crowder did. We had a right to respond forcefully to all of his claims. We all did that on our different platforms. And then I said to myself, just sitting there one day, why is he doing this? It's a very simple question and an obvious question that any person would ask. This is not normal behavior. It's very erratic to go from being friends with somebody, being with them on election night, laughing, having a great time, to suddenly wanting to ruin their entire company and launching Stop Big Con. It's bizarre behavior. I turned to my husband and I said, where's his wife in all of this? Isn't she so supposedly a Christian? I'm just thinking about the way that I talk about everything in my life with my husband. Every night I'm talking to him about what's going on at work. I thought to myself, where is Hillary Crowder in all of this? How did she not tell him not to do something this vicious and this disgusting? And then I said to my husband, I bet they're not even together. I logged on to Instagram and I found Hillary Crowder's Instagram account and I looked to see, and it turned out that she didn't follow Steven Crowder and that Steven Crowder didn't follow her. He didn't follow anybody in her family and she wasn't following anybody in his family. That was my aha moment. Clearly, there was some sort of a separation. Now, this might sound like crazy CIA stuff, woman stuff. It's exactly what happened. I then spoke to Jeremy at the Daily Wire and I said, do you think that him and his wife are potentially separated? And he said, no. Obviously, it's his friend. He would have known whether or not they were separated, except he didn't. He actually had no idea if they were separated either. Finally, we decided in conclusion, Jeremy advised, that we just stay out of it, that this is actually not our business, but at least it actually felt good to learn that he was going through something privately because it assigned some reason for something that he did that was so horrific and so irrational to his friends. And finally, we said, okay, this is a broken man. This is what I was thinking. This is a broken man who is on some sort of a spiral. It is likely his divorce that led to this moment. He's acting erratic. He's acting panicked. And this at least gives us some sort of an excuse for why he behaved this way. That's it. That's the big, scary story. I then went onto my platform and I said, pray for Steven Crowder, honestly, because that's what he needs. He needs a prayer. And apparently, nobody's answering those prayers right now because he's still acting erratic. He's now upping the ante and suggesting that I extorted him. I will not take that lightly, okay? I am not Hillary Crowder. I am not anybody in his family. I am not going to take somebody going onto his platform and alleging that I either harassed, threatened, or did anything that would put his children at risk. That is very serious stuff that he is saying. And so what I did this morning after this clip was sent to me is I contacted a defamation lawyer and I am sending Steven Crowder a cease and desist. And I'm going to demand a full-throated retraction to the idea that Candace Owens threatened him or extorted him. And not that I simply did a little math. 1 + 1 = 2. A crazy man doing these sorts of things to his friends obviously means that something is going on personally. Honestly, this time, I'm not even going to suggest that anybody should pray for him. I am so deeply troubled by the idea that he is trying to insert me into this narrative pertaining to his divorce. I'm frankly angry about this. So I'm going to hope that he does the right thing, okay? That he does another one of his live feeds on the exact same platform and via the exact same medium and offers me an apology and takes back every single word that he says. And, by the way, if you think that that's bad, here's how he decided to end this clip pertaining to his divorce. I picked wrong. Wow. How kind, how loving. You really must have loved this woman, Steven Crowder. Again, I don't know who's buying your act anymore. I certainly haven't bought it from the very beginning. It's very obvious to me exactly what you are. You come across to me as a very dishonest individual. It seems to me, Steven, that you really, for whatever reason, want to insert me into this narrative. Like there is just something about me that you are hyper-focused on. And so I want to help you a bit. And really, I want to help your wife because you essentially just used your platform. Millions of people have access to your platform. She doesn't have the same, to insult her. You picked the wrong woman, okay? So here's what I would like to do. I would like to invite Hillary Crowder onto my platform because she doesn't have one and because her ex-husband apparently just used his to insult her, to say that he picked the wrong woman. I find that to be really despicable. So Hillary Crowder, if you are watching, you are more than welcome to come on my show and to talk about what's actually going on. Because as I said, I don't trust a single word that comes out of Stephen's mouth.
You're a fucking ugly bitch.
So this was my take from the whole thing. And I want to ask Candace a question. Are you saying that Stephen hit on you some way? Did he hit on you through Instagram? Because if so, where's the message interaction on that? You know, people who usually make an accusation about that usually comes with receipts. Now, I'm calling you out on this because I think you're full of shit, okay? Stephen Crowder's wife that he's going through his divorce with is an absolutely gorgeous woman, okay? You've got good looking, you've got beautiful, you've got gorgeous, and then you've got gorgeous. And I'm just going to say this to you, Candace, like Stephen Crowder would make time for a, if I the way I see you, you're a 4 on the outside, but you're a 0 on the inside because you're a hateful leg. That's what you are. You know, my question to you is, though, what in the all fuck are you talking about when he says, pick the wrong woman? I mean, that's what I said about my second wife. I thought she was the boom diggity. I really did. And it ended up being the 7 Years of Pain tour, Candace. So when men say that we picked the wrong woman, we did. It's a matter of speech. And you're going to go out there and you're going to invite Hillary Crowder onto your show so she can give her side of the story. What fucking business is this of yours? It's none of your business. See, that's that old grifter liberal leg part of you. I want to use another word, but I'm going to use leg because that's just what you are, as a dirty, nasty leg. That's that old grifter liberal part of you from that website that you had created. Remember when you doxed all those people? Remember that? See, I watched that interaction you had with Blair White, and you were a complete leg through the whole thing. Your true colors showed through the whole thing. You ain't no angel. Candace Owens, let's get one thing straight. You ain't no angel. You had the NAACP come to your aid when that thing went down with you in high school. Remember that? So you had the NAACP, which is a completely woke organization, come and help you during that time in your life. Now, see, my problem with you is that you want to stick your face in everybody's business. You're a grifter. I mean, what I call you. Just look at this. This is the face she makes. And if you see somebody talking like Candace Owens, this is what this is. Go ahead and take a look at this. And that is exactly what it is. It's called grifter face. All right? So, a definitive fuck like you is useless here. Now, one of the things I want to say is you're a hag. Okay? And if you know what the definition of a hag is, a hag is an evil woman who wants to devour others for her own purpose, whether it be for protein consumption or for monetary consumption. That's what a hag is. Because us Gen Xers, we know what you're doing. You're not an ally to the conservative party. You're not even a conservative. How does this old grumpy paratrooper, this old Gen X paratrooper view you? let's put you in the same realm here as the hag from BLM who used her platform to sucker other people out of their money to gain support. Then turn around and use those funds and fame given to you to buy yourself a nice house. You got your own show and eventually came off as a first-class grifter. Well done, Candace. You've accomplished everything you set out to do. But see, I'm a Gen Xer. I see right through your smoke and mirror campaign against Steven Crowder. And anyone who calls you out, this is your MO. Anybody who calls out Candace Owens, she's got to go onto her show and basically play the victim. That's what you do. You play the fucking victim. That is right out of that old purview liberal feminist bullshit that you used to do right there. Now, this video that you have, at the time that I saw it, only had 38,000 views in 15 minutes. You have 1.5 million subscribers, correct? Well, during Crowder's podcast this morning, within the first hour, he had 200,000 views. And I went back and looked at this about a half hour ago, that video of this morning's podcast, and it was sitting at 1.55 million views on Rumble. And you call yourself a conservative voice? No, you're not a conservative voice. You're as much a voice for conservatives as Ukraine is a positive investment for the U.S. taxpayer dollar. You're just a dirty ass, nasty leg. That's all you are. That's all how I see you. And what I did is I posted a meme of you onto Mug Club's locals, and it's Grifter face, this. And I love one of the, I'm going to read from one of the, you know what? I'm gonna take her name off, and this is what she says. She's despicable. Crowder came out with a legitimate complaint about a contract. Never dropped names and badmouthed anyone or insinuated any personal information about anyone. She was jealous that Crowder was offered $50 million and she went on a smear campaign on Crowder to the point of saying, I know something personal, This is such despicable behavior. I really wish she was better than this. Her excuse that the reason she did it is because she wanted a reason for explaining Crowder's erratic behavior is so weak. This is what a narcissist does who is feeling embarrassed. I don't know Steven Crowder. His personal life was nobody's business and had nothing to do with his campaign against Big Con. In my opinion, he has an excellent show. He's shown himself to be gracious and patient in all of his Change My Mind segments. A lot of people he works with for and over has said nothing bad. And he has never gone on a smear campaign of anyone's personal life. I can see where he probably has some strict rules and sometimes gets emotional, but that is no excuse for anyone to reveal his personal life. Like, what the actual fuck, Candace? And then she also said she loves my meme of Grifter face. So this is why I say to the Daily Wire, you opened yourselves up. You came out and decided that you wanted to expose yourself as the one who offered Crowder a contract. Well, Crowder rejected it, and look at where he is now. And I can guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, that Crowder probably signed a $150 million contract to be on Rumble. Because he is the number one guy, 6.5 million subscribers on YouTube, the largest conservative voice on YouTube. Then he moves over to Rumble, and he's the number one guy for conservative voices on Rumble. Did I say he moved over to YouTube? I meant to say that he moved over to Rumble. Candace Owens has a history, ladies and gentlemen, of doing this. This is her MO. This is what a grifter does. And when a grifter has to change their MO, they'll move to wherever they can to do so. Now, we have seen her in Congress. She was invited to the White House by Donald Trump many a time, so on and so forth. We know her history, right? And now she comes out, and now she's basically talking that she's not supporting President Trump anymore. And she's made her points on that. Well, that's her choice, but Candace, people who are going to vote for Donald Trump probably don't even know who you are. The 80 million, basically the 75, 80 million that voted for him last time, out of that 80 million, maybe 0.5% know who you actually are. So you're not this huge conservative voice in the universe of conservative values in this country. My huge problem is, though, is what you're doing now is that you want to bring Hillary Crowder onto your show, and you want to have an interview about Steven Crowder. And you said that Steven Crowder was acting. That he's so bad at acting. What I saw was a sincere man going out and saying what's been bothering him for a year. That takes strength. That takes initiative. And that's what men do if we have a problem. And there are people who are asking about it on social media. Now, see, here's another thing you did, right? Your little drama-filled, liberal, feminist hate gnomes inside your head said, I'm going to go and basically go through my husband's cell phone. That's basically what you did. Because you've got that insecurity there. And then you drew a conclusion. And then you go out and you pronounce this on Twitter. And then everybody starts talking about it, right? Well, what does Steven have to do? He has to go out and address it. Leg, you started it. You started this shit, Leg. You brought this fucking shit upon yourself. Just like what Dave did. He brought the shit upon himself. I am so sick and fucking tired of you poser fucking conservatives who think you're doing something good for the fucking movement when actually you're fucking doing everything wrong for the movement. Look at where this country is now. And because of fuckheads like you and those fuckheads at the Daily Wire and those fuckheads at the Blaze and those fuckheads at Fox, Newsmax, and fucking One America News, you put this country so into this concoction of fucking stupidity. That's what you've done. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, what you fuckers done is you have drawn fucking lines in the sand for everybody. And here's another thing about you, Candace, is that if somebody does something that you don't like or says something that you don't say is true, you attack them. That's all you do. That's memories of that old fucking hag from that old fucking feminist network you worked with that doxed people. That's right. You doxed people, which is illegal. You're useless, Candace Owens, to the conservative movement. That's what you are. And I'm saying that as fact. And now you're going to send Steven Crowder a cease and desist letter? You know what half-Asian lawyer Bill's going to do with that? He's going to take it. He's going to look at it. He's going to laugh at it. They're going to send you back another piece of paper that says, go fuck yourself, Candace Owens. Go fuck yourself. So, let everything I've said sink in for a minute, folks. And on that note, I am RTB out.
Let freedom ring with the shotgun blast!